Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a quick little one for this first one, but we're gonna do one of my older songs that I made. Um, and we're just gonna do what mixing and mastering does. So each of these are my tracks that all have different things mixed onto them. I'm basically gonna go through each one and show you how I like to do it. And then I will go and show you my master track, then I'll show you what I like to do to that. Okay, but first we'll just play it.
901.
So definitely didn't sound bad. The bare bones are all there. Everything just could be a little bit more vibrant, a little louder. But overall, everything's laid out pretty well. But we'll just go down to the first thing that I made for this song was actually this guitar part. Okay. So for this one, I always like to use this SP404 SX Sim. It's a patch kit that I have made. It's basically supposed to emulate this new hardware that I actually just bought as an SP404. It's just basically emulating the vinyl effect that it does. So I throw that on, and I like to do nice EQ, and I'm just cleaning up the lows and the highs, boxing out things that sounded really rough. It's pretty loud in itself. I recorded it myself, so it actually sounds pretty good. So I didn't even turn it up or down. So it's a little bit over here, running it through the sim. Okay, then after that, I actually ended up making this intro first. Both of these. So both are one's made in Massive and one's made in FM8. That's what they sound like. It's basically the same chords that's being played up here on the guitar, just ripped down to a pad. Same for this one right here. So yet again, it's just EQ on both of them. It sounds super rough without both those, so you gotta turn them both back on, really loud. Same for this one, so you turn these on. It's basically just giving it like a wobble, like an older feel to it, right? Nothing super intense, but you don't always have to go over the top for everything. But you just want to get the frequencies boosted up or down that you don't want. So then, we could do the tag next. So obviously it never sounds like this.
901.
So there's a little bit of delay and reverb because I re-recorded it over itself a couple times to make this version of it. And I always chop it to make it fit each song. So I always like to add, I don't know why that's up. First just an EQ on it.
9
to clean
9 9 9 9
then a delay.
9 9 0 1.
It just carries out through it.
901.
Right? So next thing we'll go to are these pads. Without anything else, pretty good. First thing I like to throw on it for this song, just the vinyl sim again. Kind of got it turned down a little bit so it's loud. EQ everything out. So I kind of combed out a lot of the low end. compress it to get it back louder. And then auto panning. It just gives a lot of movement. Like, right, like these are all harmonizing, so I just like to have a lot of movement in the harmonies. So they're not always the same. You can come to this, like the squealer. So I do the vinyl sim again. And again, it just gives it that wobble, like that effect, like it's older. Then EQ out the sounds that I didn't like too much. Mostly just the high end, right? And a lot of that's just gonna be by ear for what instrument you're using. You know, it's gonna be a lot of personal preference. Oh, so you turn all that back on, right? Now if we just take the drums. Take everything out. Right? So there's just a lot of good movement in the whole entire thing. It just sounds overall just pretty freaking great already, right? So that's just generally my pad lead, and a lot of times now I've actually started taking things where I'll split them. Like, so if I have like this guitar, for instance, like I'll do like a double split, do like a high, uh, a high low. So it's basically I can EQ a little bit cleaner, like get a little bit more in depth with like what I want from like the 1,000 up, 1,000 below. What are you doing? Don't you fuck with me. Oh, I thought you were coming for me. Uh, sorry, I was talking to my roommate. But basically, I like to split it in half because it gives me a little bit more. So like I have like these really big waves here, but if I can get a little bit more in depth, zoom in, like do like a big size like this, and I'm only working on this half, I can get a little bit more detailed with it, and then change up certain effects that I'm throwing in on it. But this was just kind of a really fast lo-fi beat that I kind of threw together that I like just with the guitar. So um, I didn't get that in depth with it, especially because I was just using a lot of MIDI in, right? So it's not like sampling, where like when you're resampling something, you have to get really intricate with it. Where like this is, I'm playing everything. I developed all the instruments, and like if we open this, like see, I have a lot more going on the sound design side versus the after effects of splitting things up and trying to get them going a lot of different, yeah, booty chords. Yeah. Yeah, weird names and all. Um, But so yeah, so this is just our so that's what the vinyl sim does every time you start and stop it when you turn it off too, just so you know. Okay, so we have that. And we'll go into the drums. So okay. Boop, boop. Get all this turned off real fast. I had it turned off, but I'm assuming because I'm basically disconnected the power from it, it probably just turned them all back on. Okay, cool. So I just have everything grouped together. Super crazy, pretty simple hat rolls. So first we'll go down the snare. So and in my battery, I actually have a little bit more going on. I have I can clap two different things put together, right? And so this lets me do a lot more effects, etc. on the inside of it. Just it's very simple though. I didn't do a lot in this one. I didn't even use high cuts, compression, anything. I did it all on the outside. But that's where I'm getting both my samples from. I left them pretty flat on the EQ. There's really not a lot I'm trying to pull out, right? So we kind of get rid of the low ends. You just want to keep a little bit, and you just kind of look for, like there's a nice little pop right there, right? So that's why I always have it on the high end there. And it's affecting both of those samples, right? And so then I have a compressor, turn that on. I like to have a little bit of release, a lot of attack. I'm trying to catch it just on the peak, right? So you're looking for a little bit of reduction. That way you push out, this makes it a little bit more, yeah, sounds nice. Come to the hats. No, I mean, there's a lot you can do with the hats. It just depends on what kind of song you're making, exactly what you are doing. I always start with just an EQ, right? And just kind of get rid of the sounds that I do and don't want. So, like, obviously, this one was a little high on this end. Sometimes I like to throw, like, a delay, and it can have, like, a really cool effect. Just by, like where it almost sounds like it's echoing, and it's really good for, like, lo-fi. Or you could do, like, echoes in itself, and, like, affect which way it goes. Right? It's like for song startups, it sounds really cool. But for this one, I just left it really simple. You also want to usually get a compressor in. Same with the short attack, not a lot of release, a little bit down on the ratio. It just gives it that pop. Right. Beautiful. Okay. Right, so it helps it sit out a little bit better. So in this one I have some hats. Just one sample on this one. Just a nice little pack. And this one yet again, we kept it very simple. It's just a lo-fi beat, so I don't want to add a lot of movement to my hats and make everything where it's just moving. Right, I already have a lot of tremolo on the top half, so we're going to keep the drums really straightforward. But yet again, I mean, you can add delay. This is where you get creative with it. I mean, you can try delay phasers. I mean, what if you want to make it a little bit more grainy? It just really, really depends on the sound you're going for. But for this one, I wanted to do just a straightforward, like, ride on it, you know. And then the kick, the most important part, right? So you get your kick. For this one, I just use one. Just yet again from the same battery pack I downloaded. So first thing you're gonna come in EQ, leave a little bit of space on the top end so it still has that. You want to get some of the low end though of the kick, usually around like 30 hertz. You go any lower, you're gonna start getting into your sub. You're having things that are real muddy, right? So then you get a compressor, short attack, a little bit of release. Oops. So my compressor, the way I do it, is always compressing using a kick compression chain off your sub. So I turn my sub back on, turn on my sausage fattener, which is the best plugin you could possibly have. If you aren't using this, you go download it and start using it. It just makes everything sound better. I mean, if you really, and you can use this on anything. I mean, it doesn't just have to be on your sub. Like I sometimes like to use it on my kicks in themselves. There's certain sounds that I'm working on just to give them that. It gives it a thicker, fatter sound. That sausage, thick sausage. So come in, EQ out the stuff. Usually low end 24, high end around the 500s. See, I don't want a lot of that. I want it to rattle it without breaking it. I turned it down just a little bit too, just so it's not overbearing. But then now the kick and the sub work together. So every time that the kick hits, it cuts that through and isn't so buried in by the sub since it's really loud and fat. Right, it kind of gives it like a pulse. See, you can really just hear the sub moving, whereas if you're actually getting the kick off. It sounds like it's starting off the sub, which is really nice. Gives it that nice fat sound. Yeah. Then we'll move on from these two. So I brought in one sound, kind of like a transitional. Just a plane taking off. Now Ableton has this feature where you can fade things in and out, so I gave it a really nice fade. A lot of these have fades set on them. You know, that's just mostly a post effect. You're just trying to have a good clean transition out where it doesn't sound like it's just clipping the sound out right. So most of these actually have fades on them. Oh yeah, here we go. So like my audio sounds like these are all MIDI, so you can't have fades in and out on a MIDI. But that's okay. It doesn't always need one. So as far as mixing goes, that's pretty much it. So now if we play the song.
901.
So it sounds pretty good so far. No, you missed. You totally missed. So the mastering is now. It just sounds like it's missing something, right? Like it's not exactly loud enough, especially on the speakers I'm wearing. So when it comes to mastering, you're just trying to have the song that you make. All excuse me, all of these tracks are running into my master channel. So I just need to basically make them sound fuller. So I split everything into channels of a low, mid, and high. And that basically gives me a chance to focus on each set of frequencies by themselves versus trying to make the entirety of the song sound louder at one time. If I throw all these effects on at once, it's only going to make certain aspects of the song louder, while deadening the rest of it, right? Like I can't use a compressor on the entire master and expect it to affect the low end, the mid, and the high all the same way. Like a kick and this really high squelcher aren't going to mix well together, if compressing them at the same ratios. So I make a low mid crossover and a mid high crossover. So basically what I'm doing is I'm MIDI mapping it. So where's it at? Oh, there it is. So what I do is I get an audio effect drag it down, drag the effects I drag on. So I use a multi-band dynamic splitter. It gives me my low. always come in first and start on it. I mean, you can hear immediately, I'm just working on the low ends. It has nothing to do with anything else. But you can see all those tracks have a low frequency. And you need to make sure that they play actually decently well together. Alright, so first thing I put on it is obviously I just have it focused in on the low on the multiband dynamic. I have it set at 566 hertz, so it's just affecting the mid and low frequencies of 560 hertz and down. And that is the cap, right, of the low end frequency. So for the mid, it is from 566 to 250. That's my mid frequency. And this is the high would be 250 up, right? They all change. Right, 560 to 352. And so I'm not going to go too deep in details on how Ableton itself works. I'm just going to keep it really kind of cross-platform, I guess, available, right? So we'll just say if you're using another DAW, you just need to find a way to split your master channel into 3 channels and then just use effects on each individual channel, right? So I put a utility on it, which this is actually kind of a plugin that is very specific to Ableton. I don't think there are many comparatives that I could use. But it basically just makes things a lot wider. It kind of widens out the sounds. So like for your bass, you can mono it and basically say, I just want this to be coming through both speakers. This frequency down, right? And just straightforward dead in the middle. I don't want it panned out. For other things though, you wouldn't want to have it set like this, but for your bass, you want it to not sound so panned out, right? The more in the middle is, the thicker it's going to sound. So now, basically, you still do want it to be wide enough to where it doesn't sound flat, right? Like so, you have it set up in that manner. I don't add any gain to any of it. I'm not trying to make it any louder necessarily. I just need it to pan out a little bit, I guess would be the best term for it. Widen out. So we'll start. A little bit of gain to it. But really, I'm gonna get most of the fullness from compressing it again. So I turned the ratio up a little bit, attack down. I'm just trying to get it to peak a little bit. And you want it to almost red bar, right? You don't want it to get it too loud where it's gonna clip. But that's what we have a limiter for. So I set the low for -6 decibels. So as long as it's not crossing too far over 6 to 8, I can keep adding gain, right? So if we started flat, it's just not really peaking up where I want it. So I'm going to get it back up to where it's cresting over. And that's basically what it is setting a ceiling and saying, okay, so anytime that bass is going to get over -6, we're going to turn it and clip it and make sure that it doesn't blow your speakers or make this awful noise or clipping where it just sounds like your ears are going to break. It doesn't feel good. It's very high squeak type noise, and I'm not even going to do it to my speakers because I like them too much. So moving on, you go to the wrong channel. You go up to your mid. All these. It's the same thing across all of them. Use the same thing. Multi-band dynamics. go to my utilities. On this one I have it spread out to 12 with no gain either. Not mono. I want it to be stereo, so it plays through both my speakers. Sounds a lot wider. Compressor to make it louder. Clip right there. You see how it clipped a little bit. Kind of fuzzed all the sound out. What you're looking for on the gain reduction is basically every time a snare hits, right? That's gonna be my loudest mid noise. Should be the loudest cut through. So So once I have the threshold reacting and giving some reduction, I'm gonna boost the out. Then limit it. This one I set to negative 12 decibels. It's the same thing. You're just gonna turn it up until it's just peaking a little bit over. If it's hitting 13, 14, 15, that's okay. That's fine. I want it to just stay as close to 12 as possible, right? So yeah, then you move into the high. Utility. Widen it out to where it's delayed 20 seconds. Which is so minute, it's very hard to hear. Compressor to make it louder. This one I'm it's reducing off the hats mostly. And limiter. This one's set at 18. Really looking at around 2022, which is okay. Last things like that onto it is just another EQ. I'm just kind of coming. 23 is the low end, high end. Then a limiter to reduce clipping. This one's set at basically 0 decibels, so it's going to be as loud as it can be. You don't want it to clip over 2 decibels. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.